In a quiet town, everyone knew the name Madame Teresa. But no one called her that. She was famously known as Madame T. She was the wife of a very wealthy billionaire, so she had everything she could ever want. But there was one problem: she was wicked. Very wicked. Madame T had many housemaids who worked for her in her big mansion. Instead of treating them well, she made their lives miserable. She hardly fed them, and even when she did, it was just a little portion of stale, tasteless food. But, funny enough, her dogs got the richest and finest meals, so much so that the maids secretly sneaked bites from the dog food whenever they could. Madame T had no heart. If you said sorry to her, she'd only laugh and make things worse for you. One time, her maid, who worked in the kitchen, made a small mistake. Madame T beat her so badly that the poor girl fainted on the floor. The worst part: she wasn't even sorry about it. Whenever food got spoiled in the kitchen, she didn't just throw it away. Oh no, that would be too easy. Instead, she forced the cook to eat the rotten food, knowing full well how sick it would make them. The poor maid had to choke down the spoiled meal, trembling with fear the whole time. But there was one day that stood out more than any other day. It was late at night, and one of her maids forgot to throw out a dirty baby diaper. Days later, Madame T found it and was furious. And guess what she did? She made the maid eat the diaper, yes, the diaper, along with everything disgusting inside. Can you imagine that? Now, despite being pregnant and due for delivery, Madame T never let up on her cruelty. Even though her baby was about to arrive, she didn't stop mistreating her maids. She was always looking for ways to punish them. Soon enough, the day of Madame T's delivery arrived. She was rushed to the hospital, and thankfully, the birth was successful. She gave birth to a healthy baby, and by evening, she was resting in her hospital bed. One of the maids brought her hot water in a flask, and the caregiver handed the maid Madame T's placenta to take home and bury, as was their tradition. Now, this was the moment the maid had been waiting for. The maid had suffered too much under Madame T's cruelty, and it was payback time. When she got home, she didn't bury the placenta like she was supposed to. Instead, she cooked it. Yes, you heard me right, she cooked the placenta and made a delicious yam sauce with it, using the placenta as the meat. She prepared everything nicely and packaged it carefully. The next day, the maid brought the food to the hospital and handed it to Madame T with a polite smile.
Madam, I made you a special meal to help you recover quick,
she said sweetly. Madame T, being greedy and completely unaware of what was coming, wasted no time. She gobbled up the food, licking her lips as she chewed on the meat, savoring every bite. This meat is so soft and tender, she said, smiling for the first time in a long time. She cleaned her plate, finishing everything. But then, after she had eaten it all, the maid leaned in with a mischievous grin and said,
Madam, that was your placenta you just ate. Hope you enjoyed it.
Madame T froze. Her face went pale. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. What did you say? She stammered. The maid nodded, her voice dripping with sarcasm.
Your placenta made a lovely yam sauce, madam. You ate it all.
Suddenly, Madame T's stomach churned. She felt sick to her core. Fear gripped her heart, and she screamed. The hospital was thrown into chaos as Madam T fainted right there in her bed. Her night of horror had begun. The tale of Madam T is a reminder that cruelty to others can come back in unexpected ways. Even the wickedest person might face a payback they never imagined. So, be kind to everyone, because you never know what dish might be served next.